When my son believed I'd inherit nothing from my ex-wife's 34M will, the lawyer revealed an AMA, Jack sat on the edge of his weathered couch, hands trembling as he clutched the document that would forever change their lives. The ink still glistened, fresh with the weight of Carol's final wishes. She had left everything to their son, Max, a staggering 34 million, no strings attached, with a cruel, glaring absence of any acknowledgement of Jack. The air in the room felt thick. Outside, the sun shone bright over the Midwest suburb like any ordinary day, but inside Jack's heart, a storm raged. "You get nothing," those words echoed in his mind, carving deeper and deeper into his soul. Ever since Carol's passing, whispers had twisted through the neighborhood like a restless wind. Jack, the humble mechanic who once held his head high, now bore the weight of judgment. The pity in people's eyes turned to disdain, as they distorted his struggles into something shameful. Why hadn't he pushed for more in the divorce? Why did he let himself and their son drift into a state of financial weakness? Even Max, standing tall at 16, seemed ensnared in a web of resentment, convinced that Jack's love was somehow tied to money. "Dad, you're not getting any of it. Maybe you should be happy," Max had spat the last time they spoke about it, anger flashing in his young eyes. That day felt like a knife to Jack's heart. Their bond, once as solid as welded steel, was crumbling under the weight of wealth they didn't actually possess. Jack fought back tears, wondering if Max truly believed that the fortune would define who he was, defining his worth beyond the love of a father who had given everything for him. Before they could spiral further into darkness, a beacon of light flickered, an unexpected message from a lawyer who had stumbled upon something significant. In the midst of sorting through the legal chaos, he had uncovered an AMA, a document hidden beneath a stack of papers, a silent witness to Carol's long, arduous battle with her mental health post-divorce. The words jolted Jack, revealing Carol's chilling insight: life lessons trump silver spoons. Wealth is a burden without character. Jack's breath hitched. It wasn't just about the money, it was about the purpose behind the will. This revelation shifted everything. Carol hadn't wanted to leave Max drowning in an ocean of riches. She had sought to give him the tools needed for real living, a lesson in resilience, character, and love. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Jack prepared for a heart-to-heart with Max, a whirlpool of emotions churned inside him. He could either confront the misconception or let the darkness dictate their lives. He felt the grip of uncertainty. What if Max couldn't see beyond the money? What if the lessons his parents tried so hard to teach were now drowned, silenced by greed and willful blindness? He imagined walking into Max's room. The boy who had once looked up to him, now turned to a stranger harboring anger like a shield. Jack took a deep breath, his heart racing. The moment was crucial. Would they rise above the shadows together? As the gravity of it sank in, he opened the door, stepping into the unknown, every heartbeat echoing his desperate hope for redemption. Max sat there, staring at the inheritance papers like they carried the world on his shoulders. Jack's voice barely broke through the silence. "Max. We need to talk." With that, the possibility of healing hung in the air, heavy with uncertainty. Would they find their way back to each other, or would the divide be too great to bridge? Jack's heart pounded in his chest as he stepped into Max's room, the air thick with unspoken words. Sunlight filtered through the blinds, casting stripes on the floor, but the warmth felt distant. Max barely lifted his gaze from the papers strewn across the desk, his brow furrowed in concentration, as if he were summoning some final verdict from the legal jargon. The tension in the room escalated, a taut wire ready to snap. "Max," Jack repeated, his voice steady, yet gentle, hoping to crack through the icy silence. "I saw the will, your mother's intentions. It's so much more than just money." Max's eyes finally met his, full of defiance. "What do you mean?" "It's everything, Dad. She left me all of it." And you get nothing. The venom behind his words stung, sharp and unforgiving. Jack swallowed hard. I realize how it looks, son. But your mom, she didn't want you to have wealth without understanding its weight. That's why she kept her thoughts in that document. It's a lesson, Max. A lesson? Max scoffed, throwing the papers down in frustration. It feels more like a punishment to me. You think this is about character? I'd trade it all for a normal life, for her to be here with us. The pain in Max's voice pierced through Jack like a dagger. I would, too, he confessed, the vulnerability crashing over him like an unforgiving wave. Every day, I wish it could be different. But right now, we need to focus on what she left behind for us, together. Max's expression shifted, just slightly. Jack took a step closer, hoping to share his warmth. Your mom believed that true wealth comes from character, integrity, love, things money can't buy. She struggled after we divorced, and that wisdom was her way of guiding you. She didn't want you to lose sight of what truly matters. The room fell quiet as Max absorbed his father's words. Jack could see him wrestling with emotions that were clearly at odds. Jack took this moment to breathe, careful not to rush in, to let Max process the tumult swirling inside. Dad, what if I mess it all up? Max finally asked, vulnerability unmasking his bravado. What if I squander it? That's a part of growing up, buddy. It's okay to be scared. You don't have to do it alone. Together, we can figure it out. Jack forced a smile, determination washing over him. I want to help you understand the value of this inheritance, not just in dollars but in everything it represents. Max seemed torn, the anger still flickering but beginning to dim under the weight of uncertainty. But what if I don't want to learn? What if I just want to enjoy it? Enjoying it is fine, but remember your mother's words. It's about hard work, and that's where our bond lies beyond any money. Jack's heart swelled with hope, his voice steady with sincerity. You are so much more than an inheritance, Max. You're my son. I love you. Tears brimming in his eyes, Max looked down again, the battlefield of emotions still raging inside him. Jack's chest tightened as he waited, praying it wasn't too late to reconnect. Suddenly, Max shot up from his chair. What if we had a plan? A better way to face this? Jack's pulse quickened, sensing a tentative bridge forming. I would love that. We can start fresh, together. Just as hope began to flourish, an urgent knock echoed through the house, jolting both of them. Jack. Max. It's urgent. You need to see this. With that, the moment hung suspended in time. Jack glanced at Max, a newfound resolve glimmering in their eyes. Could this urgent interruption bring yet another twist to their story? Who was knocking at their door? Jack's heart raced as he exchanged anxious glances with Max. That knock was loud and insistent, echoing through the stillness of their home. Who could that be? Max muttered, his earlier urgency now merging with confusion. I don't know, Jack replied quietly, uncertainty wrapping around them both like a heavy blanket. The knock came again, impatient and urgent. Jack moved first, pushing through the door and striding down the dim hallway toward the sound. Each step felt weighted, and used to the mix of hope and fear bubbling inside him. Max trailed behind, hesitant. Jack reached the front door, taking a deep breath before he swung it open. Standing there was a figure wrapped in urgency, a woman in her late 30s with dark, tousled hair, eyes wide as if she'd just sprinted across the street. It was Sarah, their family lawyer. Jack. Max. She exclaimed, her tone a mix of breathless fear and excitement. I need to speak with you right away. It's about the will. What? What do you mean? Jack's brow furrowed, the shivers creeping up his spine. Everything you thought you knew, it's about to change. Sarah stepped inside, barely letting them process her words. She moved quickly toward the living room, gesturing for them to follow. Jack and Max exchanged bewildered looks before following her inside. The weight of the moment sat heavy in the air, charged with anxiety and anticipation. "Have a seat," Sarah urged, and they both slid into the couch, eyes fixed on her. "Your mom's will have had a few surprises," Sarah said, her voice slightly trembling. "There's a clause in it. A significant one." "A clause?" Max's voice cracked, blind panic flickering across his face. "What kind of clause?" Jack's stomach twisted. "Is it bad?" "What does it say?" "It's not that it's bad, it's just unexpected. Your mother wanted you to earn your inheritance, yes, but there's a period where you'll have to prove yourself." Jack felt his throat constricting. "Prove what?" "How?" "You'll need to engage in community service, and a part of that work will require you to lead a project, something that embodies her values. If you succeed, only then will the funds be available to you in full." Max's expression darkened as frustration boiled over. "That's insane. I can't believe this. You're telling me I have to work for it?" "Yes, but it's not just work. It's about giving back, showing that you understand the weight of what you've inherited. Your mother believed that was essential." Jack watched the storm of emotions cross Max's face: anger, confusion, determination. It was a mirror of his own feelings, twisting in a chaotic dance. "Fine. Then I'll do it," Max declared, his voice rising defiantly. "I'll prove I'm worthy. I can handle it." All Jack could do was nod, a mix of pride and concern swelling in his chest. But Sarah wasn't finished. "And there's more," she said, keeping her voice steady as Max paced in agitation. "More?" Jack's heart sank dangerously. "Yes. There's also a timeline to complete this." "If not," she trailed off, letting the silence linger with dread. "If not what?" Max shot back, fists clenched, desperation spilling over. "If not, everything will be distributed differently, among a list of charities your mother outlined. There's no fallback." The weight of that finality pressed down on them like a lead blanket. Jack could see it in Max's eyes, the fight beginning to flicker as fear took root deep within. "Max," Jack whispered, wanting to reach out but unsure of how to comfort him. "This is our chance. We can do this together." Max stopped pacing, his breath heavy with uncertainty. "What if I fail?" "That's life, son. But remember, you aren't alone. We'll face this together, and if your mom believed in you enough to set this challenge, maybe we should too." Max dropped his gaze, the battle inside him raging anew. Jack could almost see the gears turning, thoughts colliding with feelings. But before they could dig deeper, Sarah interrupted, urgency returning to her demeanor. "We don't have much time. You need to plan how to approach this. It all starts now." Jack nodded, his heart filled with a mix of thrill and dread. They were standing at the edge of a new chapter, both terrifying and exciting. As they sat in silence, processing what lay ahead, Jack felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this challenge could be the thing that drew him and Max closer than ever before. But as Max's expression hardened, uncertainty twisted in Jack's gut. Would they be able to rise to meet the challenge ahead, or would this tear them apart further? The unanswered question hung heavy in the air. Time was running out, and so was their chance to redefine everything that mattered. What would their first step be? Jack stared at Max, whose jaw was set with determination, yet the flickers of doubt still danced in his eyes. Everything felt so heavy. The stakes were unimaginably high, and they had no time to waste. Sarah glanced back at them, her face a mask of urgency. "Okay, let us focus," she said, shifting her weight from foot to foot. "You have less than 3 months to complete this. I suggest you brainstorm ideas together tonight. I know it feels overwhelming, but you can handle this." "Sure," Jack replied, though the word felt more like a hope than a promise. "What kind of community service are we talking about?" "Something that resonates with your mother's values," Sarah said, her voice steadier now. She was passionate about making a difference in the local community, and she particularly cared about the youth. "Maybe something involving mentorship or educational outreach?" Max nodded, shifting from agitation to a form of quiet resolve. We could start a tutoring program. There are kids in the neighborhood who could seriously use the help. Jack could see his brother's mind racing through possibilities, picking up momentum. Yeah. And we could partner with the local schools. They probably know what resources are available. We just need to get organized. Sarah smiled, impressed by their immediate response. That's a great idea, she encouraged. But remember, it's not just about the idea. You'll need to outline your goals, how you plan to implement them, and how you'll track progress. Max's face lit up, his confidence beginning to build. I can handle that. I've got a few friends who might be interested. They love volunteering. This could actually work. Jack let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. Seeing that spark in Max gave him more hope than he felt in days. Yes, let us talk to them. And we need a timeline. We can't waste time, we need to act fast. Great. Sarah nodded appreciatively. And when you gather a few ideas, we can refine them together. There's still room for negotiation with your mother's clauses, so keep that in mind. Feeling buoyed by purpose, Jack began to jot down their ideas. His hand moved quickly across the paper, the words flowing with newfound urgency. Okay, we need to build a support system. Reach out to local businesses and let us not forget about social media. The three of them brainstormed late into the night, the initial weight on Jack's chest slowly lifting. Max thrived on the creative energy, laughing and throwing out suggestions. Each idea seemed to fuel them further, turning fear into excitement, but as the clock ticked into the early hours, Jack felt a creeping anxiety return. Yes, they had formed a plan, but what if it fell apart? What if Max struggled? Could their relationship withstand the pressure? Max stood up abruptly, a fire burning in his eyes. I can do this, Jack. I will do it. Jack's heart softened at the determination in his brother's voice. I know you can. And I will be here every step of the way. They both shared a moment of understanding. It was now or never. Their mother had given them an opportunity, a chance to honor her memory while discovering their own strength. But as they finalized plans, a nagging thought wouldn't leave Jack's mind. Was any of this going to be enough? They were still wading through uncertainty, and the fear of failure lurked just beneath the surface. As the first rays of dawn broke through their window, Jack felt a swell of hope rise in his chest, but doubt still gnawed at him. Would their efforts be enough to truly make a difference? And just as these thoughts spun in his mind, his phone buzzed on the table, the screen lighting up with a message that sent a chill down his spine. Urgent. What did that mean? Who needed them now? The questions rang out in the silence of their newly forged alliance, casting shadow over the light they had begun to find. What was waiting on the other side of this unexpected challenge? Jack's heart raced as he stared at his phone. The word urgent echoed in his mind, sparking a fight-or-flight response. Who could be messaging him at this hour? His eyes met Max's, whose brow was creased with concern. What is it? Max asked, leaning closer. I don't know. Let me check. Jack swiped the screen, revealing a message from their mother's lawyer. He felt a twist in his stomach. The lawyer's name flashed like a warning sign, an unexpected omen of complications ahead. Jack. Max's voice pulled him from the abyss of his thoughts. What does it say? It's from Mr. Lawrence. He wants to meet today. The words tasted like bile. Their mother's affairs were still tangled up in legal knots, leaving behind shadows that haunted Jack. Today? Max's face flickered between disbelief and worry. Can't it wait? We're trying to do this service project. I know, Jack said, feeling the pressure building again. But it sounds important. He could see Max beginning to breathe harder, and Jack didn't want his brother spiraling into panic again. We'll figure it out. We can still meet with the lawyer and work on our plans for the program after. Reluctantly, Max nodded. They both knew they couldn't ignore the weight of their mother's will, especially with all that it entailed. As they cleaned up their makeshift brainstorming area, an uneasiness settled over Jack. They had so much on their plates already. The thought of something potentially complicating their vision for the tutoring program felt overwhelming. Jack pulled out his car keys, trying to shake off the dread that had taken hold. "Let us go," he said, putting on a brave face, even if inside he felt like crumbling under the weight of uncertainty. The drive to the lawyer's office was clouded in silence. Max stared out the window, quietly fuming, while Jack gripped the steering wheel tighter than necessary, trying to keep his nerves in check. As they parked, Jack felt the heaviness in his chest tightening. Inside, the lawyer's office was too bright, too polished, and Jack felt out of place. They were met by Mr. Lawrence, who wore an expression that was tough to read. Was it sympathy or impatience? "Gentlemen," he said, motioning them toward his conference table. "I wanted to discuss your mother's estate and her wishes." Jack exchanged a glance with Max, whose expression suggested denial. "What does that mean?" Max blurted out, his voice shaking slightly to Mr. Lawrence cleared his throat, the tension thick in the air. "There are some specifics about her will that I need to clarify. Decisions made by her can substantially impact your plans moving forward." "What does that mean for us?" Jack asked, feeling small in the lawyer's towering office. "Your mother outlined certain clauses that require further discussion. Not all of her estate is straightforward. It might impact whether you can use her legacy for the tutoring program." Jack's stomach dropped. What did that mean? Were their plans hanging by a thread? Max's knuckles turned white against the table. "So what are you saying? That we can't start this?" "It's not that simple," Mr. Lawrence replied. "Your mother had strong feelings about how her legacy should be managed. If you want to honor her memory, you'll have to meet certain expectations." Jack swallowed hard. This was it. The delicate balance of honoring their mother while carving out their own paths was on the line. Expectations? And what are those exactly? Max interjected with a fierce determination, shaking off his earlier anxiety to Mr. Lawrence opened a folder and began to read. "To initiate any program funded through her estate, you must prove community benefit and commitment. It's outlined clearly here." Jack's heart raced. They had a plan, but could they meet these criteria? Could they really do this? As the lawyer continued, Jack's mind drifted to the hours spent brainstorming with Max, their laughter mingling with hope. What if it wasn't enough? The weight of that question hung in the air, suffocating any sense of optimism as they faced the lawyer's expectant gaze. And just as Jack felt the world closing in on him, Max leaned forward, a flicker of defiance igniting in his eyes. "We're not backing down. No matter what." Jack felt a spark of hope igniting again, but it was accompanied by a surge of fear. What if their resolve wasn't enough against the weight of their mother's wishes? Their future and their plan hung perilously in the balance, waiting for the next twist. What else would they have to face to achieve their goal? What hidden obstacles awaited them in the shadows of their mother's legacy? Jack's pulse quickened as Mr. Lawrence placed the folder on the table with an unsettling finality. Max's eyes darted over the paperwork, searching for answers that felt just out of reach. "What kind of proof do we need?" Jack's voice trembled slightly, a mixture of determination and fear. "We've been organizing tutoring sessions for months." "That should count for something. It's a little more complicated than that," the lawyer said, his tone flat but somehow still considerate. "You'll need to demonstrate a sustainable impact on the community, beyond just temporary tutoring sessions. Financial records, testimonials, evidence that shows your commitment." Jack's heart sank. They weren't just talking about a community program anymore. This felt monumental, like they were standing on the precipice of something far larger than they imagined. "We can do it." Max's voice was louder than before, edged with frustration. "We're already in touch with the schools and the kids. We've seen how this changes lives. It's real." Mr. Lawrence nodded. "I believe you, but the requirements are stringent. You will need to submit a detailed proposal. Your mother's estate isn't just money, it's a legacy. One that many will expect to be carefully managed." Jack leaned back, trying to process everything. "So, if we can prove this, if we can show the real need, then we could access the funds?" Correct, the lawyer replied, his eyes locking onto Jack's. But it won't be easy. You're battling expectations, and that means time and effort. Isn't that what this is all about? Max shot back, his intensity unwavering. Honoring her by giving a chance to those who really need it. Jack couldn't help but admire Max's fierce determination. He felt the same but lacked the words to express it. They had a shared vision, a spark igniting a path they didn't entirely understand but felt deeply committed to pursuing. Then we'll do it, Jack said firmly, even as doubt peeked through. We'll gather everything we need and push through this whatever it takes. Good, Mr. Lawrence said, nodding slowly. I'm glad to hear that. Reach out to community leaders, engage with local organizations. The more support you have, the better your chances. After a few more exchanges about timelines and documents, Jack and Max stepped outside the building, the weight of uncertainty still heavy but now intertwined with an unfamiliar energy. What just happened? Max muttered under his breath, the brisk air doing little to ease the tension. He didn't come here to help us, he came here to judge us. Maybe, Jack sighed, the chill biting at his skin. But this is our chance. If we give ourselves time to gather support and really show how this can help, what if it's not enough? Max interrupted, his anxiety creeping back in. What if we fail? Jack paused, looking at his brother, searching for the right words. They had always faced challenges. This was just another mountain, another hurdle. We won't fail if we don't give up, he finally said, his voice steady. Max's shoulders relaxed a little, but the worry still lingered in his eyes. Fine. But it's going to take everything we have. Then we pour our hearts into this, Jack replied, feeling a flicker of bravery. Let us meet with the community leaders tomorrow, get those letters of support, gather every bit of evidence showing how we've helped. One step at a time. As they climbed into the car, Jack felt a newfound energy in the air. It was daunting. This wasn't just about them anymore. It was bigger than their plans. It was about honoring their mother's wishes and creating lasting change, but as Jack turned the ignition, a lingering thought struck him. They had so much motivation, yet what would happen when they faced community skepticism or worse, rejection? What hidden challenges lay ahead that could threaten not just their project but their bond too? He stole a glance at Max, who was still lost in thought, the worries etched on his forehead. It was time to channel their fears into action. They had their dreams to protect, but mere passion wouldn't be enough. What might shake their resolve this time? What unforeseen trials awaited them as they raced towards their goal? Jack parked the car, the engine's gentle hum fading into an uneasy silence. He turned to Max, whose expression was a mixture of hope and dread. Ready? Jack asked, though he wasn't entirely sure he felt ready himself. Max took a deep breath, his shoulders squared. Let us do this. They stepped into the community center, a brightly lit space that buzzed with life. Children played in one corner, while older teens studied at tables scattered throughout the room. It was a whirlwind of activity, the sound of laughter mingling with the clatter of chairs. Jack could feel the energy thrumming around him, yet he also sensed a weight pressing down on his chest. They needed to convince the community leaders of their vision, and the stakes felt higher with every step. As they approached the main hall, they spotted Mrs. Martinez, the longtime director of the center, setting up for an upcoming meeting. Her gray hair framed a warm smile, instantly putting Jack at ease. Hey, boys. She called out, her voice bright and welcoming. What brings you here today? Mrs. Martinez, we need your help, Max said, his words tumbling out in a rush. We want to show people that our tutoring program can really make a difference. And, we need support to access the funds from Mom's estate. Oh my goodness, she said, her eyes widening. Your mother would be so proud. She believed in community more than anyone I know. Jack felt a flicker of warmth at her words. We want to prove that her legacy can help change lives. But we have to show them we can make it sustainable. Then you'll have my support, no question, Mrs. Martinez said, her certainty washing over them like a wave. Let us gather as many testimonials as we can. I know families who would be thrilled to echo your commitment. That gut feeling of doubt began to shift into something lighter. With a renewed sense of purpose, Jack and Max began making plans with Mrs. Martinez. They defined steps, strategized outreach, and even talked about coordinating a community event to showcase their progress. Hours flew by like minutes. Jack was surprised at how seamlessly they worked together. It felt like their mother was guiding them, whispering encouragement. They left the center, exhausted but exhilarated. Do you think we did enough? Max asked quietly as they walked back to the car. Honestly? I think we made a great start, Jack replied, his confidence bolstered by their progress. Later that night, they sat in the cramped living room, coffee steaming on the table and energy drinks crowded around it. Jack flipped through the documents Mr. Lawrence had given them. What about this? He said, pointing at one sheet. We need to document how many kids have attended our sessions this past year. Max nodded, furrowing his brow. What if they don't see the potential? What if we can't gather enough support from the letters? Jack's heart sank for a moment, the fear creeping back in. Then we keep pushing, he said, his voice strong. We can't let doubt whisper in our ears. We owe it to her. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. They exchanged curious glances. Who could be visiting at this hour? Jack opened the door, and his heart dropped. There stood a tall figure dressed in a dark coat, eyes sharp and serious. It was Mr. Lawrence. Jack, Max, he said, his voice low but urgent. We need to talk. Jack felt a shiver down his spine. What could this mean? Did he have more news about the estate? As he stepped aside to let the lawyer in, he couldn't shake the feeling that something crucial was about to unfold, something that might change everything. What revelations lay ahead, hidden within that unreadable expression? Jack closed the door behind Mr. Lawrence, a knot tightening in his stomach. The air felt thick, every breath heavy with unspoken words. Max leaned against the wall, arms crossed, eyes darting between Jack and the lawyer, his anxiety evident. What's going on? Max finally asked, his voice barely above a whispered "Mr." Lawrence hesitated for a moment, his brow creased as he glanced around the small living room. The room seemed even smaller with the weight of the moment pressing in. I won't waste your time. I'm here about the estate and, well, there have been developments. Jack swallowed hard, heart pounding. Developments? The lawyer stepped forward, gesturing for them to sit. Jack and Max shared a look of alarm as they settled onto the couch. Mr. Lawrence took a deep breath, his gaze serious. I know this is a difficult time for both of you. But your mother took measures that might not have been clear before. What do you mean? Max asked, voice trembling. In the will, there was a provision set up specifically for your tutoring program. She believed in it so fiercely that she wanted a substantial part of her estate to support it. Jack's pulse quickened. What does that mean for us? Mr. Lawrence shuffled his papers, trying to find the right sheet. Your mother left $34 million, but he paused, looking at them intently. You can only access those funds under certain conditions. The words felt like ice. What conditions? Jack asked, his voice shaking slightly. You'll have to prove that the program can make a significant impact, the kind of impact that can sustain itself long term. This is why I'm here. I want to help you get that documentation together, gather testimonials, and really showcase what you're doing. Max's eyes widened. And if we can't prove it? Mr. Lawrence leaned closer, his tone more serious. Then you risk losing access to everything. Your mother's intentions were clear in her love for community, but she also wanted accountability. She believed potential like yours needed to be nurtured through diligence and hard work. Silence fell, the weight of their mother's expectations looming large. Jack felt a rush of determination mixed with fear. On one hand, this was the lifeline they could not let slip away. On the other, it felt like a tremendous responsibility thrust upon them. Okay, Jack said, voice steady but urgent. What do we need to do? How can we ensure we can access this money? Mr. Lawrence smiled, but it was a solemn smile. Start with the community. Their voices will be key. You need to demonstrate not only how the tutoring program helps students but also how it can endure. That's the only way to honor her legacy and secure your future. Max nodded, the determination in his expression matching Jack's. We can do this. We have to. For her. Suddenly, the idea of their project transformed from just a way to carry on their mother's legacy into a true mission, a challenge they would tackle together. It would take hard work, but this was their chance to show the community and themselves what they could accomplish. The night unfolded with plans and strategies, the air thick with renewed conviction. They gathered their notes and resources, mapping their way forward, until the sky outside turned black and the stars began to blink in attendance. But as they wrapped up their planning, Jack had a nagging feeling. What if they found themselves at a dead end? What if the community didn't care as much as they hoped? A little voice whispered doubts, but he pushed it aside. Moments later, when the adrenaline of their plans began to fade, a question popped into his mind. Mr. Lawrence, he said hesitantly, what if we do manage to pull this off? What exactly would happen if we don't meet Mom's expectations? A silence stretched in the room, tension curling like the smoke from a distant fire. Mr. Lawrence met Jack's gaze, his expression unreadable. To put it bluntly, everything hangs in the balance. But you both need to understand it's more than just money at stake. It's your mother's belief in you. Jack stared at the lawyer, mouth dry, heart racing once again. Suddenly, he felt the enormity of their task settle in his chest. As they turned to plan their next steps, Jack couldn't shake one haunting thought. What if they weren't capable of proving their mother right? Would that be the moment they disappointed everything she had built? The question lingered in the air like a storm cloud, leaning closer ready to burst. The next few days shattered and rebuilt Jack and Max's world in a dizzying whirlwind. They dove into their tutoring program with nothing less than a fierce resolve. Their usual routine faded into the background. Parents called, students came, and the community buzzed with whispers of a new hope. Jack spent long hours at the center, sifting through notes and plans. The air was filled with the sound of paper rustling and voices discussing math problems, books cracking open. Max was in the thick of it too, tirelessly promoting the program through social media, drawing in volunteers, and crafting compelling posts. But beneath the surface of their participation, anxiety simmered. Every time Jack closed his eyes, he could feel his mother's eyes on him, scrutinizing his every move. The pressure was unrelenting. Hey, Jack. Max called, breaking through his thoughts one afternoon. He leaned against the desk, a faint smile lifting the corners of his mouth. The mayor's office called. They want to hear about what we're doing. Jack's heart leapt. Really? Yep. Can you believe it? Max continued, his excitement palpable. If we can get their backing, we'll showcase that we're serious. It's a solid step forward. Great. But Jack's mind raced. They needed to be perfect. When's the meeting? Next week. Max's grin widened. We've got time to prepare. This is our chance to prove ourselves. We'll blow them away. Jack nodded, trying to summon Max's enthusiasm, but doubt was worming its way through him. What if they disappointed not only themselves but also their mother's legacy? As they continued their planning that day, the atmosphere shifted. They hit walls, gaps in their knowledge, unorganized data. Jack felt the weight of inadequacies pressing down. Are we really ready for this? He blurted, frustration swirling like a tempest. Max straightened. What do you mean? We've got a plan. We have testimonials, and lots of people believe in what we're doing. Belief isn't enough. Jack's voice cracked, and attention filled the room. What if we fail? What if the mayor thinks we're a joke? Max's expression softened. Then we learn. We try harder. But we can't think like that. If we lose focus on the good we're doing, we've already failed. Jack's heart ached with uncertainty. The balance between hope and fear shifted sharply. I just wish Mom was here, she'd know what to say. Maybe she's here in spirit, Max said, his voice low. We can honor her through this. She believed in us. We owe it to her to at least try. Jack swallowed thickly. Max was right. But still, the gnawing fear would not let go. They pored over their plans through the night, fueled by caffeine and shared breath, yet as much as they prepared, Jack sensed the pressure only intensifying. Days flew by until the eve of the meeting arrived. Jack felt a surge of dread, his stomach churning with doubts and what-ifs. Sleep eluded him as he revised slides, double-checked notes, and imagined countless worst-case scenarios. Finally, the moment came. The conference room sat before them, imposing and sterile. They stood outside the door, breaths shallow. Jack looked at Max, who was visibly coaxing a grin through anxious eyes. "Do you think we can really do this?" Jack whispered. Max nodded, his expression switching from anxiety to determination. "Remember, it's about our mission, not just the money. If we speak from our hearts, they'll see how much this matters to us, to Mom." "Right," Jack exhaled, feeling a sliver of hope but still racked by doubt. Justice for their mother weighed heavily on his shoulders. As they pushed open the door to enter, Jack glimpsed the space filled with city officials and community members. Their eyes turned to him, waiting expectantly. In that instant, the storm inside him collided with clarity. He straightened, every heartbeat echoing with the love he could almost feel wrapping around him like a caress. Could he share their vision powerfully enough? Would they understand the impact of what they had built? "Let's honor her," he said softly to Max, as they stepped into the room, hearts pounding in unison. But as he began to speak, a new barrier loomed. Would his voice break under the weight of their expectations? Would they see potential or just a couple of troubled brothers caught in shadows? With each word, the stakes grew impossibly high. What would happen if they faltered? What if they stumbled at this very moment? Jack's mind raced. Could they truly change everything? Would the community rally behind them, and would it be enough? The room buzzed with anticipation as Jack and Max stood before the gathering of community leaders and city officials. The sunlight poured through the large windows, illuminating the space where hopes and fears collided. Jack clenched his fists, drawing strength from the moment. Clearing his throat, he stepped forward. "Thank you all for being here today. My name is Jack, and this is my son, Max. We want to share something that has become very meaningful to us, something that began as a hot mess of confusion after the loss of my wife and your friend, Carol." He paused, letting the gravity of those words settle. Carol left a will that placed a fortune in Max's hands, but it came with lessons hidden within, a challenge to honor her legacy through meaningful community work. She believed in the transformative power of education, that knowledge shared can uplift lives. Max stepped forward, his youthful determination channeling the memory of his mother. "We launched a tutoring program aimed at helping kids in our neighborhood because we wanted to turn our pain into purpose. We wanted to show her love could pay dividends far beyond money." Jack glanced at Max, pride swelling within him. "But we realized our journey involves proving that this program isn't just a short-term fix. It needs to stand solid, a beacon of hope for the community, not just passing shadows." Nods surrounded them, faces sparked with interest. "We heard the needs of our families, of kids who struggle and who need more than just math and reading," Max continued. "They need mentors, guidance, and someone who cares enough to invest time in their futures." Jack felt the energy shift. Encouragement flickered in the air. The realization that what they were fighting for wasn't just resources but rebuilding the bonds severed by grief surged through him. "It was never about a dollar amount," Jack said, his voice growing stronger. "It was about resilience, about learning the values we lost sight of amidst the chaos of life. That's what we want to bring back to the community, support built on love and genuine connection. We need your help to elevate this vision." The silence in the room felt charged with possibility. Jack locked eyes with Max, their unspoken understanding humming between them. Suddenly, a hand shot up in the back. The community center director, Mrs. Martinez. "We believe in you, boys." She smiled widely. "Our families need this. We need a partnership. Let us help you build a framework for sustainability." Other hands began to rise, voices chiming in. Let us gather resources. We can help reach out to local businesses for funding. A wave of support surged, washing over Jack and Max like a warm embrace. Jack blinked back tears, an overwhelming sense of validation washing over him. The doubts that had plagued him began to fade, replaced by something powerful: community. As they discussed plans, frameworks, commitments, and visions for future projects, hope danced in Jack's heart. They brainstormed ways to fund the program and engage parents through activities that would benefit everyone. Time passed quickly, focused and intentional. They finished the meeting with camaraderie and standing commitment. The community's voices intertwined as one. As the sun set, casting a golden hue through the windows, Jack and Max emerged from the meeting room hand in hand, heartened by the day's impact. Jack looked at Max, seeing his younger self reflected in his son's eyes. "We did it, Dad," Max whispered, nearly breathless. "We truly did it." Jack felt pride swelling as tears brimmed in his eyes. "No, buddy, we couldn't have done it without everyone there. We still have a long road ahead, but today proved something. Together, no matter what challenges we face, we can thrive." They reached home, their hearts lighter, and found a new warmth, not in money but in purpose and belonging. The doubts began to fade. They were no longer just a father and son flailing in despair. They were a team bonded by love, ready to push through obstacles. As they settled on the couch, Jack pulled out the document that had once felt like a death sentence. Now, it felt like a new beginning, a map toward a path where every twist and turn promised hope, growth, and restoration. In that serene moment, a profound truth wrapped around them like a blanket. They had the tools to transform misfortune into a legacy that mattered, a community flourishing through resilience. And as they shared a chuckle, lifting the weight off their shoulders, Jack felt gratitude surge within him. "Here's to building something better," he said, the warmth of a smile spreading across his face. The storm they had weathered only made them stronger. They could now look forward, hoping for tomorrow and the endless possibilities it would bring. They were ready to face this journey together, forever united by purpose, love, and the legacy of a mother who believed in them. So, let this serve as a beautiful reminder: community, character, and heart matter more than wealth ever could. This is your moment to connect. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Every click helps us grow. Comment below about how Jack and Max inspired you and what you think of their journey. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions.